Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another video. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I am really excited about what we're going to talk about today. Let's start out with a little blessing for everyone who's watching. Just want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for being here on this planet with us. I just want you to know that your story is important. Your path is important, and we're also grateful to have you here. May you have beautiful, beautiful blessings come into your life. Thank you. So what I wanted to talk with you guys about today is something that I have been working on this myself this last couple of months. And so I'm still getting my thoughts together around this topic, but I feel like it's so important, and I wanted to try to make a video to share this with you guys. But it's about perspective and how our wounds shape our perspective and where we're at in the sense of our healing and our woundedness, and how that affects our perspective of everything, of ourselves, of the world around us, of our relationships, of our homes, of our community. And so just a deeply, deeply interesting concept to me, that, like I said, I'm still working on, and I want to be open with you guys and share some specific examples of some of the things I'm working on, so that hopefully you guys can relate to that as well. And just know that you're not alone. Like, we're all here together. It's not like I have everything figured out, and I just want to be real and transparent with you guys in the things that I'm working on as well, so we can all grow together. So when I was getting ready for this video, and I've been trying to kind of put into words all the things that are in my heart and my head, so that it comes out of my mouth in a tangible, expressible way to share with you guys, I had a conversation with my son, and I was telling him about this concept of wounded perspective versus healed perspective, and where do we find ourselves in that, and how do we change our perspective. And brought up the example of, since I'm a glasses wearer, that when you put on glasses, you're seeing through that lens. You're seeing the way that you're seeing the world is all being filtered by the lens that's over your eye. And so I was talking to my oldest son about this, and he said, "Oh, it would be so cool if you did an anaglyph in your video." And that is like such a perfect example. So I wanted to show that to you guys, where here we have an anaglyph. And this is one of those drawings. Maybe you've seen these before. I know I've seen stuff like this when I was a kid, but I hadn't put it in this train of thought before, but I thought it was so perfect. But these are pictures where you have both a red drawing and a blue drawing, and it's made to look kind of 3D. And so you have the same situation containing two realities, the same as you have this picture containing a blue drawing and a red drawing. And so, but you're only going to see one picture depending on which lens you're looking through. And that's where you use these anaglyph glasses. But I just thought that was such an awesome example when we're applying that to thinking about healed versus wounded. That, first of all, to know that both the healed and the wounded perspective exist at the same time. And we need to check at what lens are we looking through when we're looking at a situation or a relationship or ourselves even. If you have a blue lens over your eye, you're able to only see the blue drawing. And it's the same with the red. When you're seeing the whole perspective, you're seeing the red and blue drawings on top of each other. You're able to see the whole picture. But so just like in this photo, when we're seeing through the wound, whatever wound it is that we're working on or dealing with, or whatever's causing us pain, when we're seeing through the perspective of that wound, then we're not seeing the whole picture. We're not seeing what all there truly is to this reality that we're experiencing. And I thought that that was just so interesting. I want to also bring this around to give you guys an example. So, one of the wounds that I deal with, and maybe some of you guys can relate to, is abandonment trauma. And I feel like that was something that I dealt with probably very early in life, emotional neglect and abandonment trauma. And something that was really hard for me to process as a child, and I think never fully has come to the surface until recently, where I've been able to work on these things about myself. But in giving you guys an example about how abandonment trauma, how that wound, if I'm looking through the filter of that wound, I start to see everything that relates to that. Just the same as in our anaglyph, when we're looking at the red, when we're looking through that red lens and we're only seeing the red drawing, that's all we're seeing. We're not able to see the rest. We're not able to see a bigger perspective or what the healed perspective might look like. And so I think it takes a lot of conscious awareness to bring to this concept, because I think a lot of the time we can just be functioning in our wounded state and not even realize that. Like, I definitely know that I have been, and it's something that I've been working really hard on. And it takes kind of a moment by moment integration with yourself to be like, okay, is that true? Am I really unlovable? Am I really abandonment itself? Because I found that I had started to identify with abandonment. It just wasn't that I was abandoned, it was that I was abandonment itself. It became part of my identity, which I think can often happen when we have beliefs that are so deeply ingrained, by whatever that may have been that happened to us in life. So let's see, where I'm going with this is I wanted to share with you guys how when we look through the lens of our wound, we're only going to see more wound. And examples of that might be, if I believe myself to be abandonment, then all I'm going to ever see is ways that I could get abandoned, reasons that I should be abandoned, reasons to not love myself, reasons to try to, oh, I always have to stay in connection, or I always have to stay, like panic. If you're only looking through the lens of the wound, then you're only going to be seeing more wound. So I wanted to give you guys some tips or like clues for, how can I tell if I'm in a wounded perspective? Because I think, for so many of us, including myself, when you have a belief and an identity around that belief, it becomes so easy to, it's really just like, feels like second nature to adopt those things, those beliefs about yourself. Like, okay, like in my example, yeah, I am abandoned. Yeah, I am not good enough. I can't keep anybody. Everybody leaves. I'm, a failure. And so, wanted to give you guys some kind of hints and tips around this. And thank you so much for your patience with my language today. I'm talking and feeling and thinking and listening to spirit all at once, and sometimes it makes me a little bit stuttery, but I just thank you so much for your patience. Promise I'm trying to give you guys just really valuable content. But so tips, symptoms, how you might know that you're in wounded perspective and you don't even realize that because that's been your default that you've been functioning in for so long. That's been the way that you survived. Um, also in my example, and for my growing up life, it was the way that I survived. Adopting those beliefs and trying to constantly stay in connection with my caregivers was the only way that I did stay in connection with them. But as we grow and we learn and we realize who we are and what we need next on these next steps of life, we're able to let the past go little bits at a time, little bits at a time. And we realize I don't need that anymore. I don't need to believe that I'm abandoned anymore to move forward. And in fact, that's something that's holding me back. And so if you have something like this in your life where you're like, I know there's something that's holding me back, I'm not sure what it is. I just feel like I'm held back all the time. Um, See if any of these fit for you, looking at your wounded perspective, and see if you still out of habit, still out of belief, see if you still have that lens on, that lens of the wound, where you're just looking through the wound because the wound is calling out to be healed and it's calling out for you to look at it differently. So, long story short on this, signs and symptoms that you are looking through the lens of your wound, I think the biggest one is pain. If you are feeling emotional pain, spiritual pain, mental pain, you might be looking through the lens of your wound. I think it's definitely something to take a look at, something to question, something to be curious about, gentle and curious with yourself about. Because when you're looking through the lens of that wound, all you can see is more pain, right? So I think that that's a big number one is pain. I think another one, something that for me comes up a lot, is fear. If you're having a lot of fears about a lot of different things, if you're afraid, I found I was afraid of fear itself. I was afraid when I wasn't afraid. Like, there should be something to be afraid of, right? Like, it's not how anxiety works. Like, even when I'm calm and when okay, something's not right, as there's nothing to feel afraid of right now. What's going on? So, fear would be another sign and symptom that you are still perceiving life through the lens of your wound. Um, I think some other things, depending on what the wound is, you're going to have different symptoms that might be kind of, triggering that wound or setting it off because your body's looking to protect you from more of that wound. So it's trying to identify, where is it? Where is it? What are all these things that are going to hurt me? When in reality, it's just going to keep you hurting. It's not going to be the real solution. So I think some other symptoms of being in wounded perspective is defensiveness, distrust, lack of discernment, just a lack mentality in general, feeling really angry, feeling alone, feeling distrustful. Um, yeah, and just depending on, thank you guys again for your patience with my talking. But just depending on what wound you have, it's going to display differently. And something that's interesting as well is you can even have the same wound as someone else. Like, I'll give you guys another example. In my life, I have a friend, a very beautiful, wonderful friend, and this person also has abandonment trauma. But when we're both in our wounded perspective, my friend is going to see something different than what I'm going to see. And it's the nuances of this are huge because these are things that can end relationships. These are things that can take you away from each other, or take you away from yourself, or away from your true community, the people that love you or reaching out to you. Um, those thoughts pop up into your head like, oh, okay, well, I'm not good enough. We have that on one hand. One person thinks that, and then the other person thinks, oh, well, they just don't want to have anything to do with me. And so you create this dynamic of shared pain, which is the same wound, but can be displayed completely different. So maybe keep those things in mind when you're looking through and you're trying to see, okay, am I in wounded perspective? What does that mean exactly? What symptoms might I be displaying? But I would say that, with my experience in trauma healing and with my experience in energetic work, that if you have any type of pain that is lingering, ongoing, lasting, it's hard to get through the day without thinking about this pain, that you are looking through the lens of your wound. And it's exciting. I really get excited and passionate about this because it is able to change. You guys, there is a whole nother perspective out there of who you are, of what you are. And when you start to even just a little bit take down that lens of the wound, even just a little bit, and you get a glimpse of like, whoa, I am this beautiful, powerful creature. I'm divine. I'm a creator. I can make my life be whatever I want it to be. When you start getting little glimpses of that, it just gets so exciting because the perspective that you thought that you were trapped in, it doesn't apply anymore. It's still there in the background of the wound if you choose to wear that lens, but it's when you are able to step into the healed perspective and you put on that healed lens, the whole world just starts opening up to you. And if you are someone who's been trapped in emotional pain or, mental, spiritual pain, my heart just goes out to you. My heart goes out to you because I have been trapped there before too. And I know exactly what it's like when you feel like there's just no other way. This is the way it is. I am abandoned. And you know what? That's not true. That is absolutely not true. And so, my friends, what is the advice that I'm going to give you on how to shift into healed perspective? And now, this we might need some more videos on, because guess who's still working on getting shifted into healed perspective every day? Okay, I'm right there with you guys. I'm right there with you. And I have shared one of my wounds with you around abandonment, trauma, and emotional neglect. And wounds come in all different shapes and all different sizes, and they have all different symptoms. Um, and so if you're finding yourself needing help with a wound and you're not sure, I'm trying to make kind of a broad video for everybody who might be watching and experiencing any type of wounding or pain. Um, but please feel free to reach out to me if there's anything that I can do to help you around your own personal wound. Check out my website, ElyriesEmbers.com, and I have a huge page on there all about the mentorship sessions that I do. I'm willing to work with you one-on-one to discover what your wound is. Why is the wound there? What does the wound need in order to get healed? How can I shift my perspective? And I'm just really, really excited to do that with you guys if that's something that you feel would be helpful in your life. So there's a resource for you. Go check it out. Also links in the description. But when we're talking about how can we get shifted into healed perspective, so what I'm finding for myself is this is not something that just poof, happens overnight. Um, this is something that takes dedication. It takes work. It takes every morning, at least this is something that's been happening for me, is when I wake up in the morning and I start to feel panicky about, am I safe? Am I okay? Do I have the people I love around me? I working on this abandonment stuff, working through it. When I wake up in the morning, I make the concerted effort to say, okay, this is what my day is going to be like. I am choosing to take off the lens of that wound. I'm choosing to take it off because here's the crazy thing: you are not the wound. The wound is just something that happened to you. But when it happened to you, it was happening for you. And I know that might be a lot to unpack, so let me know if you guys have questions. But this, this wound, it doesn't equal you. And when you can start to separate yourself from the wound, this is me and I have this wound. That's when you're starting the healing path. You are not anxiety. You are not depression. You are not abandonment. You are not neglect. Okay? You just have had that wound and it's something that you've been carrying, but you're carrying it for a greater purpose. Okay? There is a reason behind all this that your soul has chosen. And when you can learn to trust yourself and come into your purpose and trust spirit to guide you, I promise that you're going to just find this whole new world opening up and a whole new concept of yourself that you never thought was possible. So yes, my points about sharing how do I shift into healed perspective? And I think, some of the first things in looking at that is realizing what the wound is and what those symptoms are for you. So if you have, like in my case, if you have an abandonment trauma wound, you're always looking for more ways that you could get abandoned or more ways that you're not good enough. If you have a neglect wound and you're always looking for ways that you have been neglected or ways that you should neglect yourself, or different wounds are going to have different symptoms. So shifting into healed perspective, you want to look for the truth. And this search for truth is not, you have to look deeper than the surface, because at the surface you really do believe that you are the wound. So that's why I mention, separating yourself from the wound. I am me and I have this wound, and what will I do to care for this wound? What will I do to take care of it? What will I do to heal this so I can see a bigger perspective, so I can see the true perspective about who I am? And you'll find that that does come down to your choices. You're either choosing to stay in that abandonment, or you're choosing to see the love around you. You're choosing to see the love inside you. You're choosing to grow, or you're choosing to stay stagnant. And I don't mean any of these words to be, or concepts, or the way that I'm coming across, I do not mean this to be harsh at all. And I know that in the wounded perspective, it does feel really harsh, because it's like, oh my God, well, I did get abandoned. I have been hurt like this. This did happen to me. It was real, and it is real. It was real. It is happening. And for your body and all your bodies, your emotional body, your physical body, your spiritual body, your mental body, it is still happening because you still have that wound. But this is the beginning to healing it, is understanding that you aren't the wound, looking at the truth of who you are, looking at the truth of what kind of power you do have, um, looking at the truth of you being a divine creator in your own right, And then you are able to create the unique healing that you need for your wound. Um, so I just want to preface this, follow this up with how much I love you guys. I love you with all my heart, and I truly feel for you. I truly feel the depth of the wound, and, you know, I'm here for you. If there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. I definitely mean all of these sentiments in the absolute best way, because I know how tricky it is with ego and the wound, because ego loves the wound, but it loves to keep you in the wound. Ego loves to keep you stuck. It loves to keep you small. It wants to keep you hindered and um, procrastinating and stagnant. So, love, something I've been learning too. Love keeps you moving, it keeps you flowing, it brings you to the mountaintop. And some days you might be like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to climb this mountain anymore, you know, but love carries you when you're not able to. It keeps you going. It moves you to the next phase. It brings you into newness. It brings you into connection. It brings you what you need. And that truly is love, to grow rather than stagnate. And so, yes, I love you guys. This has been such a good time. I'm just so passionate about this concept. And as you can see, still trying to figure it out for myself, put this concept from my heart, from my mind into words for you guys. Um, so if you have specific questions, please let me know. If a one-on-one session would be helpful for you, please reach out to me on my website. And, um, I just want to send you guys a blessing always for whatever it is that you're working on, whatever wound that you have. Like, it is possible for you to get healed. It truly is. I don't care what the wound is. I truly, truly believe in your healing. I believe in your power. I believe in your intuition and your ability to look inside yourself and see what it is you need, what it is you need to get healing, to experience life the way that it was meant to be experienced for you, to take action on what you really love and not hold yourself back, because that's something I've really found too. I can't be out here making videos and talking to you guys and doing mentorship while still simultaneously believing I am abandonment itself, right? It holds you back. The wound holds you back. You can't go run a marathon with a broken leg. You can't. And the first step is sitting down and taking an honest look at what this wound is and how you're seeing everything in your world through the lens of that wound. And when you can do that, I just promise you guys, you're going to find healing. You're going to find the truth. You're going to find healed perspective. And it's going to be amazing. And yes, so thank you guys. I'm always just so happy to be here with you and happy to be here on your journey. Thank you. So, what I've been finding so far when we're talking about how to shift into the healed perspective is, first you take down the lens of that wound, and you do that by experiencing self-compassion and looking for the real truth and curiosity. What do I need? What am I looking for? Why is this hurting? What's the real truth? What's the answer behind this? What's the belief that I'm believing that I haven't been ready to let go of yet? Learning about your self-worth, and bringing all these things into integration with who you are now. In the shamanic practice, there's a lot of talk about soul retrieval. and how when you have a trauma happen, you have injured pieces of your soul that leave your body or that leave your being, and you lose those parts of yourself. Kind of like a fracture, if you were hit on impact and you have these pieces of yourself that kind of get lost along the way. When we're talking about shifting from wounded into healed perspective, we're talking about gently, slowly bringing those pieces back into integration with the whole you. So, healed perspective might be any one of the videos I've already made on any of those topics. Looking at yourself in the mirror and loving yourself, saying I love you, reaching inside yourself, allowing yourself appropriate rest, allowing yourself to eat good food, allowing yourself to have exercise, sunlight, fresh air, deep breaths, all of those things. Every time you're going to do any one of those little things, you're shifting into healed perspective. And you're not going to be nasty or mean to yourself when this doesn't just happen poof overnight, because it takes time, it takes commitment. If you have a broken leg and you're trying to run a marathon, it's going to take a commitment, right? First, there's steps in this process where you're going to get the cast on the leg, and then you're going to have the leg elevated with ice, and then you're going to be walking with crutches and non-weight bearing, and then you're going to be doing half weight bearing, partial weight bearing, and then you're going to start walking without crutches, and you're going to get the cast off, and then you're going to have to retrain those muscles that have atrophied. Like, there's a whole process to this healing. You don't just have the wound, have the wounded perspective, and then boop, shift into the healed one. It's a gradual, dedicated effort that this is going to take for you to enter that healed realm and that healed perspective. And let me tell you, though, too, to back that up, there is not any effort that is not worth it. Every single effort that you put in towards lowering the lenses of your wound, towards looking at your situation in a different way, towards being curious about your healing and what you need to heal, every single effort compiles. And every single time that you move that lens down and you choose to look through the healed lens, you're choosing love, you're choosing light, you're choosing that. Every time it makes a difference. So don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. This is the same example as if we're walking up a mountain and we're like, oh, well, I'm not at the top yet, right? But no, you're not. But every step takes you closer to the top of the mountain. If you just sit down on the side of the mountain, you'll never get anywhere different. So know that even though this is a process, even though you're in the middle of it right now, and this wounded versus healed thing is really hard, it can be really sticky. I know that, and I'm right there with you guys. Even if you're in the middle of it, you're still making positive progress. Any progress that you make, every time you take the lens down, every time you choose something new, every time you choose love and light for yourself, it makes a difference. Okay? So be encouraged that even though this is a dedicated process, and that's really what we're all here as humans trying to learn to do, right? We're all here on this planet together trying to learn our lessons and trying to figure this life out, trying to figure out who we are as souls and what we have to bring and what we're here to do and what we're here to enjoy. Even though this is a huge, massive process, enjoy each and every moment, every little moment, because it's all compiling. Each choice is compiling towards the you that you want to be, the healed you that doesn't need to carry the weight of this wound.